It's going to be another one of those rambles, and yeah, no idea where this is going, except I'm going to try and keep it around this topic, retirement. And it was all I've made some small amount of notes. So I'm going to look at what it is and how does retirement apply to me, and this idea of workers' contribution. So those are the only ideas I've had, and I'll tell you how it started. So the last couple of days, I mean, this is like an ongoing sort of theme, if you like, that I'm not kind of focusing my efforts, my energies on some kind of central task. You know, because I've always been freelance and I never really had a career as such, and you know, made a decision not to have that. But there hasn't been like a thing that I do that I put all my energy and effort into. Certainly not lately. I mean, a few years ago I was cycling a lot, and so that was my kind of reason for being, if you like. And that stopped around end of 2016. And since then, which is a long time, I mean, that's already like 6 years ago. So what have I been doing? I've been streaming the last 2 years. It's coming up to 2 years. At the end of this month, May 2022, it will be 2 years. And it has been kind of a central activity in my life, and you know, it's been fun, but I haven't thought of it as a career as such. So given that, I still, because I'm 53 going on 54, I'm sort of young enough in the kind of work, let's say, I'm still working age, because in the UK the current retirement age, if you're within the Monday to Friday 9 to 5 corporate world, which I'm not, but against that kind of measuring scale, 68 is the retirement age, and I'm going to look at that in a moment. So I've still got another 15 years of working life left in me. So that means I could start a new career, I could resurrect an old career, and even though I've decided not to do that, you know, for many, many years since my teens, I still feel like I should be doing something, you know, to that sort of level of commitment. So in the same way someone commits to a career and puts all their efforts and energy into it, because I'm not doing that, the feeling that I ought to be doing that comes up again and again. And then it's there, and then I kind of, you know, realize that, okay, this isn't something that I do. But one of the reasons that it comes up is because I do believe that I've got a good mind and I keep myself healthy, so I can contribute something. So that's something on my list. So maybe I should start there. Well, those are the only notes that I've made. So how can I contribute, and what does that mean? Well, one of the ways that I kind of take myself to task, as the expression goes, is that because I feel like I've got a good mind and there's still life left in me to do something, make a contribution, I feel like if I'm not doing that, if I'm just playing video games, watching Netflix, just enjoying my time really, as though I'm on a very, very long weekend that lasts for months and months, like a retired person who's lived their working life and now is just, enjoying leisure. So that's what I'm doing. I'm working a little bit, but it's like a couple of hours a day at most. So my day is made up of leisure time. And when I take myself to task, I say, well, you're playing video games, you're watching Netflix, keeping yourself healthy, but that only takes up a small amount of your day. So you could actually be doing something like studying, research, some kind of voluntary organization, some way that would focus your skills. Like maybe you could learn some new skills. As with Samaritans, it didn't take very long. It was a few weeks of training, and then I had the skills to then provide this emotional support. So I could do something similar to that. And I do feel a bit guilty. I do feel like, maybe I'm wasting my life and just sort of leeching from society, and rather than just having a leisurely life, I should kind of give something back. But what does that mean? What does contribution mean? And when I thought about it, so this taking myself to task about you should be doing something worthwhile with your life rather than just enjoying yourself. That was happening this morning when I woke up. And when I thought about this idea of contributing to society, and I asked myself to define, well, what is society? I thought of it as every other person. So if you think of, the whole population of the world, whatever that is, 7 billion. So there's me, and then there's like this 7 billion other people. And I am then doing something which then contributes to the whole of humanity. And I thought, hang on. Is that what you mean by society? The rest of the world? Or do you mean the rest of the world as in the kind of people that you have contact with or have had contact with? So, for example, neighbours, work colleagues, friends, like people that you actually come into either physical contact or virtual, like, because we do so much work and communication online, the people that you come into contact with, but not, in a kind of physical proximity. So I thought, okay, let's, forget about the rest of the world, as in the human population globally, and just think about, all right, who do you as an individual actually influence? That's family, friends, people you worked with, have worked with, and will work with. So if you kind of take your own lifespan, it's like in school, university, working situations, that's not 7 billion, that's a few hundred or a few thousand over the course of your lifespan, and my lifespan is still continuing. So, from 0 to 53, I've had this much contact. Okay, so there's my definition done. That is society. And how have I contributed so far? Well, I've brought, hopefully, joy into my parents' life at the beginning, and then, I don't know, in school I've contributed in some way. And then I suppose I'm thinking of the work that I have done. So the main, just recent past, let's say, of the last sort of 5-6 years, I've been a yoga teacher. I've been a computer person, so programming, IT support, that sort of thing. I've done bicycle wheel building, which I'm still doing. That's the only one I'm continuing to do. And being a Samaritan's volunteer, so emotional support. So how did I contribute in those fields? Well, yoga. I was fixing things. I was fixing bodies, if you like. So my particular way of teaching yoga was not sitting there chanting Om or kind of following sequences. Mine was very kind of trying to take that individual group of people, looking at what they needed, like whether they had neck problems, shoulder problems, back problems, and then specifically addressing them. So kind of more like a physiotherapist sort of role. So I'm tailoring the class to whatever level they were. So I didn't have any kind of generic like chanting Om or going through a sequence. And I could easily go down a tangent here and talk about how bad yoga teaching is in general, but yeah. Well, so I feel like I've contributed there, and I've benefited all of the, hundreds of people that I taught for, as I kind of officially stopped teaching yoga last year. And from 1993 to last year, 2021, it's like, 28 years. So in that span of 28 years, I did contribute. So even though I'm telling myself, oh, but you're just sitting around watching Netflix, you're not contributing in any way. Well, not right now, but I have. Over the course of that 28 years, I have helped people, sleep better. I've helped them to prevent injuries. I've helped them to kind of, reduce stress in their life. I've helped them to lose weight, be just generally a, calmer person, all that kind of thing. So there's a contribution there. And then there's, building websites, fixing websites, building computers, fixing computers. That's, much shorter. I started that maybe 2007 until, again, 2021, where I decided, I'm not going to do this anymore. And in that time, it's a much smaller group, but those people that I came into contact with, and they weren't like big, they were like individuals and small companies. And again, they needed help, and I helped them. So I've contributed there. And sure, I could do that again. And then Bicycle Wheels, which still continues. I feel like I've really contributed to someone's dream, because for a lot of people, riding their bike is a form of escape, is a form of freedom, and symbolizes a way to get away from the rat race, the kind of the daily round. Pun not intended, but yeah. And I've been someone who would do something for them that they couldn't find anyone else could do. So sometimes it might be like putting together a set of components that they've asked in a bike shop or another wheel builder, and they said, oh no, I don't work with those components, or I'm not willing to put those together in that kind of way because I don't know, I think that's dangerous, or that's not covered by the guarantee, or it's too old, or I won't make much money out of that. And I've been happy to do that for them. And I can, continue to do that. So I feel like I've contributed there as well. And of course, being a Samaritans volunteer, I committed to the training, and I contributed by using that training to support people in distress. So even though right now I'm not doing any of those apart from building bicycle wheels for clients, I still tell myself that I need to do more. And I feel bad, because if I look at myself and I look at my life, I am a giver. I remember at one gym, I got talking to one of the other instructors, and he was telling me how someone was thinking about being an instructor and just appraised them by saying, well, I mean, they're just not a giver, are they? They're not going to be able to do this long term, because I can sense they're not a giver. And I understood exactly what he meant. Being an instructor, standing in front of a group of people and kind of, just going through the motions, showing them how to do those physical movements just over, whether it's yoga, whether it's some other kind of gym class, it's a set of physical movements that the instructor is taking you through. And the process of doing that over and over again requires a certain temperament that not everyone has. And the way that this instructor was summing it up was saying, like, well, they're just not a giver, are they? They won't be able to do it long term. And I thought, well, maybe that's it. Maybe I am a giver, and therefore I'm missing that something, that there is a need for me to give. And I get a little bit of that satisfied through doing Twitch, because my Twitch channel is very much, more like this, as sitting here chatting as well as playing the game. But I'm quite happy to pause the game and just go into chat, and a lot of my time on Twitch is engaging with that community, made up of some regulars, made up of new people, and just talking. And it feels like, well, some part of me is, I guess, assessing that this isn't enough, that I need to do more, that I need to contribute in some way. And that is what then got me onto retirement, because I thought, well, looking back over my life, as I've just done now, and I've just talked about 4 so-called careers that I've had, but I've made other contributions other than that. I've done volunteering work, conservation volunteering. So I've helped a lot of people. So I have made a contribution to society. And now I am retired from that. And even though the retirement age is 68 in the UK, and like I said, we'll have a look at that in a moment. How about I just say to myself, well, it's okay to play games and do a tiny bit of work, watch Netflix, and not feel bad about that, not feel guilty that you have a good brain, you have life force still left in you, like you're not decrepit, or you're not in need of lying down, you don't have any kind of physical or mental health issues that make you need to step back from the world and just rest. And it's absolutely okay to just, do your hobbies. But how does it apply to me? How does retirement apply to me? Right, looks like there's some work going on in the street and it's noisy, so I'm just going to go and shut that window. So I think the microphone is probably picking it up. I don't think it's a huge difference. I've got the kitchen window open as well, so it's going to be coming through there. I don't know why I need to put the headphones on, because this is a video, and I have the headphones on so I can listen for alerts and things during a stream. Okay, so how does it apply to me? How does the concept apply to me? I suppose another reason I thought of retirement is because a friend of mine who's similar age has taken early retirement from their work. They kind of did their finances and figured out that actually I don't really need to work anymore, and I don't really want to, so why don't I just stop? And they spoke to some financial advisor, did all the figures, and thought, right, let's do it. So maybe that's another reason I flagged this up and said, well, hey, How about this? Maybe you're retired. And I've never thought of it as retirement in the past because, as I said, I've never really had a career as such. I've never done the 9 to 5, Monday to Friday kind of job. I've always worked freelance, I've made my own hours, and never even thought of the fact that I'm actually working. I'm just doing something I feel like doing, and I happen to be getting paid for it. And I mentioned like different careers, but they weren't kind of full-time. So they were freelance, but they weren't full-time. So I was doing them in parallel. So when I said I was teaching yoga, building websites, building bicycle wheels, I was doing them all at the same time. So I might be teaching a class, coming home from the class, working on a website for a while, or I might have 2 classes in the same day, and then in between the classes I'll be in central London and having a meeting with a potential website client, coming home and then meeting a wheel building client coming to my house. So the day would be comprised of all of them. But I'd never thought of it as a job or a career. It was just something I was doing at the time. I had no idea how long I would be doing it for, but it was covering my costs. And I was having fun with it, so I kept it going. And there was no kind of corporate structure to it. There was no kind of, you get like health insurance and this and that. There were no work colleagues. It was just me doing what I wanted to do. And doing what I needed to do as well, because, you need money to pay your rent and stuff. And I thought, well, I kind of quite enjoy teaching yoga. I'll do this, and they're happy to pay me. I'm enjoying teaching the class. People are enjoying coming to my class. I'm getting paid. I'm happy to carry on like this until, I feel like doing something else, or I don't feel like doing this anymore. And it did carry on. It carried on for 28 years. And, there were periods where I enjoyed it more, enjoyed it less. As with anything kind of long term, you kind of fluctuate. So during that time, I never really thought about retirement. And I think once or twice people did ask me, have you thought about a pension? Have you thought about, when you get older, and what age do you plan to retire? And what do you mean retirement? It's just, it was always something that was a part of that corporate structure. The 9 to 5, Monday to Friday person who goes to work from, age 22. They finish university, they get a job, and then they work, and they might change companies, they might change their role, but they just continue, trying to get up the career ladder. They get their house, they get their car, they get married, they have children, and they work their way through their life up till 68 in the UK, and then they retire. So they stop working, but by that time they've put some money aside so that they can get, and the company they've worked for will also provide something. But anyway, without getting into the actual financials of it, they do something from age 22 to age 68, and that is full time. And whether that's with one company or like 3 or 4 different companies. We don't care. All we care about is that they do a job and they keep doing it. And so I didn't do that. So I thought, well, I'm kind of already retired, or I don't know. The kind of terminology does not apply to me. So when I suggested that idea to myself that, well, your friend is retired, so maybe you've also retired. Last year, 2021, you had 1 class left. You officially gave up teaching yoga, which you'd been wanting to do for a while, but I did it and said, right, that's done. Also, I had a few website clients. They kind of trickled along. I had some, hosting clients. So I was still hosting the websites, maybe doing minor changes with them. And I thought, well, it's passive income. Why not keep it going? So that carried on till the very end of 2021. But then I decided, right, let's stop this altogether. And during 2021, I think I had maybe 2 or 3 websites that I went in and updated. So not a huge amount of work, but I was still within that field. So that ended. And then, of course, Samaritans, I think that was the previous year, but you could call it within the same sort of time frame. So within the space of the year, I kind of drew all of those 3 kind of career threads, if you like, to a close. So yoga, IT, let's just call it under the umbrella of IT work, and Samaritan's work. All of those kind of came to an end, leaving me just with building bike wheels. But I never thought of myself as having retired. It's like, well, I'm still doing this. I'm streaming regularly on Twitch, so, well, that's my career. But yeah, the feeling, or the internal pressure from myself of, well, you should be doing something. You should be doing something more beneficial to humanity, and like that pressure was still there and very strong this morning. It's like, you're kind of wasting your life. What are you doing? Is playing games. This is like not helping anyone at all. So let's I've been mentioning that we should have a look at retirement itself. So let's have a look. So here is Wikipedia definition. And most of this Wikipedia article is about the financials of it. So you can see here. So I just want to look at a small section of it. First of all, the definition. So retirement is the withdrawal of one's position or occupation, or from one's active working life. Active working life. A person may also semi-retire by reducing working hours or workload. So perhaps I'm now semi-retired, but many people choose to retire when they are old or incapable, so I'm neither of those. Of doing their job due to health reasons, so they don't apply to me. I'm not old, as in working age, which we'll get to in a moment. So here's a table giving the various retirement ages. People may also retire when they are eligible for private or public pension benefits. Well, I have neither of those, so that's why I'm still building the bike wheels. That's my income. Although some are forced to retire when bodily conditions no longer allow the person to work any longer. Illness, accident. So again, that doesn't apply to me. I'm fit, healthy, and young enough. Or as a result of legislation concerning their positions. So that also doesn't apply to me. In most countries, the idea of retirement is of recent origin. Now, this is something that didn't occur to me, because I thought retirement as a concept, as a tradition, has been around forever, but apparently it hasn't. The idea of retirement is of recent origin, being introduced during the late 19th century and early 20th century. So, that is very recent in terms of human history. So, previously, low life expectancy, so before sanitation, and there were lots more epidemics going on, and people didn't live as long. So low life expectancy, lack of social security, and the absence of pension arrangements meant that most workers continued to work until their death. So this kind of applies to me. I don't have a pension or a private or company pension, so there's no kind of pot that I've put money into for when I get old. So I'm going to need to keep myself healthy, and I'm going to need to keep myself working. So I'm never going to be fully retired. So I guess according to this definition, I'm going to be semi-retired. Even though, as I said, I never thought of myself as working either, because I was always just doing what I enjoyed, and some of the things actually brought in income. Germany was the first country to introduce retirement benefits in 1889, so that's fairly recent. Well, I think of it as recent because I imagined that the retirement happened for much longer. Nowadays, most developed countries have systems to provide pensions on retirement in old age, funded by employers or the state. So once I get to retirement age, which is not for a long time yet, I can get the state pension, which I think is very small. It's like £50 a week or something, which is in no way going to cover my costs. Funded by employers or the state. In many poorer countries, there is no support for the elderly beyond that provided through the family. And I remember when I was young that growing up I did grow up a little bit in India, and relatives there saying, "Oh, you're gonna look after me when I'm old, aren't you?" So that's how it was done, and I imagine that's how it's still done. That the parents pushed their children to have a good career because that is their retirement pot. That the parents are still working, But then as the children are growing up, they're studying, they're kind of focused on getting a good career, and then their career and their job security, etc., is what then allows them to take care of their parents. Today, retirement with a pension is considered a right of the worker in many societies. Hard ideological, social, cultural, and political battles have been fought over whether this is a right. In many Western countries, this is a right embodied in national constitutions. But like I said, early retirement is in the UK is 65, so I've still got 12 years to go before I can apply for the state pension, if I want to consider myself retired. And an increasing number of individuals are choosing to put off this point by total retirement, by selecting to exist in the emerging state of pre-retirement. I'm not sure what that is. A neologism, pre-retirement, describes the emergence of a new working state, positioned between the traditional states of employment and retirement. The word is a portmanteau word, coming from the prefix pre and the word retirement. The state is being found primarily... maybe that applies to me. Okay. So prior to the 18th century, humans had an average life expectancy of between 26 and 40 years. So I would be old at age 53 in the 18th century. Prior to the 18th century, I would be considered old. In consequence, only a small percentage of the population reached an age where physical impairments began to be obstacles. So people could just work until they died. They were literally worked to death. Countries began to adopt government policies on retirement during the late 19th century and the 20th century, beginning with Germany under Otto von Bismarck. I see. Alright, so let's have a little look at this table. So this is what applies to me, of course. The United Kingdom. I don't know what these... okay. So early retirement for the UK is 65, and of course for me that's still 12 years away, and the normal retirement age is 68. So between the ages of 55 to 59, big chunk of people are still employed. And then we've got 60 to 64, kind of getting close to the retirement age, 40%. So again, a big chunk. So in the UK, we're getting people to work for most of their life. Whereas, look at this, in Italy, you can retire a little bit earlier. Same in Greece. Early retirement is early. So early retirement is only 3 years earlier than the normal. And then you've got things like places like Cambodia. Look at that, 50. And the normal age is 55. So I could move to Cambodia maybe. Okay, and then there's various studies about different countries. and the laws, which I don't care about, and then the saving money and how to save money. So I don't really care about any of that. Savings, but this is, I did find interesting, is the experience of retirement. So for most people who do have that 9 to 5 job and Monday to Friday, and work from age 22 through till age 68 in the UK, they have a big shift. So they've had all those years just doing this one thing with, you know, some small changes here and there. Different companies, slightly different role, but otherwise just like getting up, going to work. And then it comes to an end. So retirement might coincide with important life changes. A retired worker might move to a new location, for example, a retirement community. So, yeah, like I was saying, in India, you get the family looking after the older people who can no longer work, and they're dependent on that. So you stay within the family, whereas here in the UK and other country, Western communities, the older people kind of spend time with other older people. Retirement community, thereby having less frequent contact with their previous social context and adopting a new lifestyle. So what are they doing? Like playing golf, they're going on cruises. You know, I'm not going to be doing any of that. Often retirees volunteer for charities, and when I was at Samaritans, there were a lot of retired people there, because now they have the time, and it was something they wanted to do when they were working, but they didn't have the time. There were also people who were working full-time, still found a way to manage doing shifts. So often retirees volunteer for charities and other community organizations. Tourism is a common marker of retirement, and for some becomes a way of life, such as for so-called grey nomads. Yes, I've come across people who they've retired and they've got like a motorhome and just gone off traveling. Some retired people even choose to go and live in warmer climates. So yeah, there's a thing like going UK people go off to Malta or buy a house in Spain. Retirement migration. It has been found that Americans have 6 lifestyle choices as they age: continuing to work full-time, continuing to work part-time, retirement from work, and becoming engaged in a variety of leisure activities. Retiring from work and becoming involved in a variety of recreational and leisure activities, retiring from work and later returning to work part-time. And the last one, retiring from work and later returning to full-time work. An important note. So I guess this retiring from work and then returning to full-time work, that's the kind of pressure that's coming from somewhere within me. An important note to make from these lifestyle change definitions are that 4 of the 6 involve working. America is facing an important demographic change in that the baby boomer generation is now reaching retirement age. Okay, well that's interesting, but expenditure of physical mental energy, production of goods and social interaction. Alright, that's interesting but not particularly relevant to me. Retirees are called upon to care for grandchildren. Well, I don't have any grandchildren. Occasionally aged parents. Oh, right. So they've retired and their parent is still alive. Very aged. For many, it gives them more time to devote to a hobby such as golf or sailing. And on the other hand, many retirees feel restless, suffer from depression as a result of their new situation. So that's very much the contrast of, being committed to doing something very full time and then nothing. Compared to that, like a huge change. Although it's not scientifically possible to directly show that retirement either causes or contributes to depression, the newly retired are one of the most vulnerable societal groups when it comes to depression, most likely due to confluence of increasing age and deteriorating health. So that doesn't apply to me because, like I was saying, I don't really fit this category of work and then not working, or even semi-retired. Retirement coincides with the deterioration of one's health that correlates with increasing age and likely plays a major role in increased rates of depression in retirees. Longitudinal and cross-sectional studies have shown that healthy elderly and retired people are as happy or happier and have an equal quality of life as they age as compared to younger employed adults. Therefore, retirement in and of itself is not likely to contribute to the development of depression. Research around what retirees would ideally like to have a fulfilling life after retiring found the most important factors were physical comfort, social integration, contribution, security, autonomy, and enjoyment. All right, let's linger on this bit. Physical comfort. Well, I certainly have that because I'm not overweight or underweight, and I exercise regularly, and like I said, I don't have any physical or emotional, mental, any kind of ailment. I'm just sort of okay. I don't have any kind of ongoing health issues. So yeah, I'm definitely comfortable within my body, within my mind, if you like. Social integration. Yeah, I have friends, I have family, I have, like I was saying with Twitch, there's my Twitch family. I'll come back to contribution last. Security. Yeah, there's money coming in to cover my costs. The country is kind of stable politically. There's no totalitarian regime here in the UK, so we are good. And I feel secure in that I can maintain my kind of regime of staying healthy, staying fit, sleeping well, all of that. And obviously very autonomous, having been a self-employed person all these years since my kind of early 20s really. And enjoyment, like I was saying, well, I enjoy playing games, I enjoy the work that I do, I enjoy watching Netflix, and I enjoy let's say autonomy. I enjoy my autonomy in that even though I do have a fairly strict sort of schedule in order to maintain my health and so on, it's not so strict that, oh no, you can't do that now. And I'm very willing to just drop everything and do something a bit different one day, and that's fine. But this contribution, like I said, I have contributed in the past, but now I feel like I still need to do that. But I guess if I consider the fact that I have contributed in the past, and maybe contributed a lot more than I think I have, then I don't need to do more. It's like I've retired from contribution. Like I did contribute, and now I don't need, not need as so there's need as in need for myself, and there's need as in, right, I've fulfilled my quota, as it were. But I guess there's a need for self-fulfillment. But like I said, within my Twitch family, my Twitch community, I feel like I'm contributing there in some way. Many people in the later years of their lives, due to failing health, require assistance. Well, I'm certainly not there yet. Sometimes in extremely expensive treatments, in some countries being provided in a nursing home. So I don't know what age that would mean. And me being fairly fit, unless, I get struck with some kind of illness, it's quite likely that I'm not going to get to that state for a long, long time yet. And certainly, I'll be fit and healthy, 20 years from now. Those who need care but are not in need of constant assistance may choose to live in a retirement home. So that is kind of going on to very elderly and end of life kind of thing. And these related articles might be kind of interesting, but kind of going off at a bit of a tangent, so I did want to get to that. But I think I've kind of covered the main themes here. Right, what is it? What is retirement? How does it apply to me? How can I use the concept of retirement to kind of help show myself that I don't need to now keep making an effort, to keep contributing and doing something with my life, because I've already done it, and therefore I can now sort of relax. So I'm semi-retired. I do a little bit of work, but the rest of the time living a leisurely life, playing video games, watching Netflix, doing other things I enjoy, is actually okay. It's allowed. That's, my version of playing golf, or what do they call it, or gardening. What do other, what are the typical retirement kind of things that people do, like going on cruises and things. I've started doing skipping rope and things, so fun things that I've got time to do. And if I wanted to start learning Mandarin or whatever, I can. It's fine. But it's not like my life is over. It's like that need to work, that need to kind of be part of the working world. I've done it. And even though my age doesn't correlate with the country's definition of retirement age, 68, still another 14 years away, Other countries, like you saw Cambodia, early retirement was 50. So if I was living in Cambodia, well, I've retired now. That's fine. Like I said, a friend of mine who's just a little bit older than me decided to, who has done it, lived a corporate 9 to 5, Monday to Friday life, just did the calculations and said, right, I'm just going to chill now. It's fine. So I'm semi-retired then, and if I want to spend the day watching Netflix or, I don't know, studying a course in Japanese, that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, not really sure what else to say now. I think I've pretty much covered everything on the topic. So I'm going to leave it there, and hopefully if you also get that same kind of pressure from yourself or from other people about, oh, you should be doing something with your life, or you should be contributing to society, maybe this will shed a bit of light on that. Okay, bye for now.